Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Park and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting for December 16, 2020. We do have a quorum, and I call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting discussing the proposed Brookside Park, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. David McGowan.
Yeah, we want to thank you guys for accommodating us. I know when we did the master plan, it pulled out certain areas throughout the city, and the Brookside area was one of them. I know we kind of hit on it, but we're not 100% sure. We discussed it in detail to let you guys know what our plans were. We have applied for a grant on that side of town for a proposed park that backs up, connects to the existing greenway over there. So we wanted you guys to know that. TDEC kind of wanted us to get a favorable recommendation from you guys, even though the grant cycle closed on the 7th. When we found out we had to have pretty much a formal or a favorable recommendation, they preferred to have a favorable recommendation from the Parks Committee. So even though the grant has already closed, we went ahead and scheduled one. They were aware that we were going to schedule one. It may be one of those things where we don't get any points for it, but at least they'll know that it's documented and we've kind of gone through the proper channels. So what you have is kind of a packet that was put together. We did have 2 public open houses. Both of those were at the library. And this is kind of the same thing that was presented there. And it's just kind of a brief overview. Why Brookside Park on the second page, you can kind of see some of the dynamics there. What the area we're targeting is about 2.5 acres there at the end, kind of where the walking trail now dead ends. There's a subdivision, some building currently going on there. I think if you come off Carruthers and come in, I'm not real sure what that road is off of Carruthers, but it will wind its way back into that subdivision and it dead ends into this area here.
Is that Cane Ridge? Cane Ridge?
It's not as far as Cane Ridge. If you turn off of Carruthers, I don't.
Yeah, you're turning on Carruthers right before that bridge that's got the, right there before you go over into
Yeah,
Davidson
Buckadee
County.
Bridge, you go over that and keep going, and then you can take maybe the first or second road to the right.
Okay.
And you'll see some new construction back there, and it'll lead you right to this area. You can see on the page, it's numbered page 14. It's kind of just some pictures of what is currently there. Other than the walking trail that kind of dead ends into nothing, that's basically all that's there. So we'd kind of like to provide something for that side of town since it is starting to grow so much.
Now, David, just real quick, before we go any farther, I'm sure this is just a typo. It says total acres dedicated to recreation is 71 acres. That's for the entire city, correct?
Yes, sir. That was part of the master plan that they've just pulled out.
I was thinking it was a little bit bigger than that, but
I think that that area over there, I think maybe 7 acres. And what we're looking at is
Right.
a little over 2 to add to that. I think our park system is right around 70 acres. I was kind of like you. I wanted to say it was more up to close to 90. So I don't know if we need to go back and refigure that or if there may be something they have overlooked, but we'll double check on that also.
David, can I also ask a question? Because I know that this was looked at maybe about 5 years ago. Now, is this adding on to the existing space that the city currently owns, or is this doing land acquisition?
My understanding is the land is already available. I did try to reach out to the engineer today, and I couldn't get in touch with him. It's the city either already owns it, or they know it can be deeded over to them.
it's my understanding that they own it. The problem was, Deborah, and if you're like me, I don't know if you've ever actually went over there and looked at it on the back side. See, I never had. I didn't even see probably half of it, but once you go down there and come in from Carruthers, there's a whole different thing down there.
Well, from what I remember, I went to the Greenway opening when they had the ribbon cutting, so I remember walking down there, and is that the land that you're talking about too, where the Greenway ends?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. You know, and before, you couldn't get to it to the backside until they started cutting that subdivision.
Oh, okay, so now I've not been in the
That's what I mean.
backside.
See, I didn't know that till just a couple of weeks ago, and I called David. I said, okay, I understand what's,
Okay.
what's happening now.
And the rest is just kind of, what you guys have in front of you was just kind of some more stuff that the master plan pulled out. Page 39 shows the Brookside area is a high demand area because they really have nothing over there. The last page is kind of shows the proposed park site. It will connect back into the walking trail. Is that? They don't have this one, do they?
I'm looking for it. This is the one they have.
I think what I may have something a little different than you guys. I'll just go over this real quick. What we are proposing back there is a shelter, and I think, Andrew, you may have to jump in here. The shelter is a 30 by 40 shelter. We are looking at a U8 soccer field, which is 150 by 90. It's not going to be irrigated, so it's more going to be like a practice field or a open green space. It's kind of like a multi-use space. It will have a playground with 3 play zones, a spin park, a swing park, and a climb park. Some type of spinning apparatus. The swing park will be like your traditional 3-bay swing set handicap. We will have some handicap swings in there. It will connect back to the walking trail. So it'll just kind of make a big loop around, and everything kind of will be contained inside that walking trail area.
And one of the things that I was talking about with David, and you'll understand why if you've never been back on that back side. If you look on here, it shows all these parking spaces. And, well, I would give you a page number if I could find it. Where'd it go? I just seen it.
Say not on-
Anyway, if you find the parking spaces, I was trying to figure out where in the world are they putting 15 or 20 parking spaces?
It's like the 5th to the last page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
under the plan.
But once you go back on that back, like we were talking about, it makes all the sense in the world. I think this is gonna be something really good. If you look at it from over there at the 3-way stop up that side street there, you're thinking, man, how is that gonna happen? But once you go around from behind, it's awesome. Sorry, David, I wasn't stepping on your toes. I just,
No, you weren't, because, I mean, that's basically what we wanted we have proposed. We just wanted to get it in front of you guys, because I know when they were giving the presentation on the master plan, that was an area of interest over there. And I think it may have been mentioned, but nothing, in detail, but we did want you guys to know that we were in the process of pursuing a grant, and if we were awarded that, it would go towards this project here.
and this meeting helps fulfill that?
Yes, sir, that was one of the requirements. And Ms. Kathy may know, she may have some input here. When the deadline was getting near, we were hit with stuff that we weren't aware at the time that we needed to have. So we were scrambling within the last week. So luckily enough, we had to have 2 public meetings specifically for this project, kind of like we did for the master plan. We were able to pull those off within that time frame before the deadline to submit, but due to the length of, due to the time when this needed to be posted and the notice, it was difficult for us to get it in that window. So our thinking was, go ahead and get it scheduled, send them a copy of the Facebook post where we did have it scheduled, and then we will get them the copy where it came out in the newspaper, and then the minutes from this meeting also, with hopefully a favorable recommendation from you guys.
David, can I ask another question?
Yes.
When we got the LPRF grant, where I work, we also had to have approval from the Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I don't know if you guys are required to do
Yes,
that?
well, actually, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approved seeking the grant. That's when it kind of threw us for a loop, because they had already approved the funding if we were awarded the grant. So then it was kind of like it was almost like we were backtracking, if the governing board that's in charge of the finances has already approved it, it was kind of
Well, they do want everything to go through
Yes.
Parks and Recreation. That's what we learned. Can I ask another question, Steve? Is that okay?
Oh,
How much did y'all apply for? I know it's a 50/50.
We applied for right at 164, 165, so the total was 325, is that the total?
Yes.
Yeah, the total was like 325.
And I think it's remarkable. I looked and it's looking like it's what, like a little over an acre, all that stuff on 1 acre?
Some of it is, I think it's like 2.5. It opens up pretty good back there.
Yeah.
I think what initially got it started years ago is I think the developer wanted, to use some of that space, but a lot of it's in a flood zone. But he did want to give a shelter for the community. So then that kind of tied into, well, we need to do something with that area anyway, so.
And if I remember, years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, they were trying to sell it to the city. that
Right,
whole
that's what
flood
I
area.
remember.
Yeah, we thought we were
And they
gonna
just
get a
like,
good
"No,"
deal
but
out of it.
I'm glad if he's gonna donate
I
it.
don't
That's
remember that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, is it for land acquisition on top of this, so, but yeah, that was, I can't even remember who was here at that time.
I think they were trying really hard to sell it.
That's what I thought too.
But if he donates it and it's not buildable, that makes perfect sense.
Uh-huh.
All right. Anything else, David, that you need to explain to
I
us?
think that pretty much covers it on our side. We'll try to answer any questions you guys have if we can.
Does anybody have any
Lot
questions?
of work.
Well,
Let's
and
grant
I
it.
tell you, this was without us having a grant writer, Kathy and I, neither one or Andrew also were familiar with it. So this was the first time we've ever stepped our toes off into it. And unless you're familiar with it, which we are still not, luckily Ray and Smith jumped in and they knew the details that we needed. So they did the bulk of it. They would request information from us and we'd get it to them. And then they'd submit it, and then, of course, if we needed something else, they'd re-notify us. So without them guys, it's, to try to do, it's a full-time job.
You know, they brought that young lady to the BOMA meeting that is their own grant writer.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I forget her name. I know I met her. but
Ariana, yes,
That's
sir.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. She's,
Very helpful, both of
Very.
them. Her
She
and
said
Kevin both
yeah.
were very helpful. She's pretty much stayed on top of it, and like I said, we didn't get the notification about this, which, it was such a crazy time the last couple of months, and, we may have hit on it, but it wasn't in detail, so if we had tried to submit anything that was just in passing, because I think Kathy said something about, we couldn't remember when we talked about a grant, if that was before the meeting, so we couldn't take a chance and, we'd rather be on the up and up.
It really is, if y'all get it, we got ours approved 2 years ago, and we are still working on getting the funding and getting, to be allowed to bid the specs out for the rehab that we're doing. And what our holdup is now is they wanted us to put certain signs, we had to put 4 different signs on where it was going. And then they came back and said, well, that's great, but you also have to put all of these same signs on every grant project you've done before. And it's like, you put them up and take pictures, that sign's not good enough, you need this size, and you'll jump through some hoops. So I'm glad you all have help with it. It's a tough.
you have to stay persistent with
it's a
those
tough-
grants, don't
it's
you?
a
Just
tough,
keep
tough
grudging.
grant, yeah. But I hope
It's
you-
all right. It'll
we
be
get it.
something good for the future, so.
It'll be great to have.
All right, any more questions? So this will be our last Park and Rec meeting until next year. So if anybody'd like to, we'll start with Mr. Jensen. Anything to say?
I'm really glad to see y'all. I know schedule's been kind of crazy, meetings on and off this year, so glad everybody's still doing well. And looking forward to progressing on this. It's definitely looking like it's something that needs to happen, especially to cover that part of the city. Make sure they have park service as well. So for this to be able to move through, despite the grant deadline being passed, like we can still make that happen. Absolutely excited about that. So excited to see that.
All right, Miss Mary?
I'm just glad to see it moving forward. Because they really needed something out that area. They really didn't have anything. maybe consequently, we'll get more stuff done our way.
Mr. Everett?
One other question I want to think, if you do get approved for the grant, what is the anticipated build day?
I don't,
I know it'll be a while, but.
They're not gonna give you a bill
yeah, I'm not even sure when the notification on the finalized who the recipients are is yet. I'm pretty sure if the grant does fall through, that we still are so far into this process
go
that we're
through?
still
Okay,
planning
good.
on trying to move forward with it in some form or fashion.
Well, I think that'd be very beneficial, because I know there's nothing on, around that side of town, so beneficial for the community. I just wanted to say one thing. Sometimes there's people behind the scenes in the different events that the city has that have worked within the city of Laverne. And I just wanted to express my condolences. Gloria Victory had lost her husband and was a long-term city employee. I know when I worked up here, she had helped us on different things with the Miss Laverne pageant, Old Timers Festival, and, you know, she helped quite a bit behind the scenes and a lot of things that we never see. So I just wanted to wish my condolences to the family.
Mr. Bob?
Well, it's been a crazy year, and I'm glad it's coming to an end, and I'm praying that 2021, that we will accomplish more than we did this year. But this year here, the virus kind of slowed everything down for everybody, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year, and I think that's about all I got to say.
Kathy Tyson?
It really has been a year, hasn't it? I won't reference drinking again like I did the last meeting, except I just did. But I do want to take a minute to say thank you to Steve for having your heart into Parks and Rec as well as the senior community. I am very pleased to see something like this because I know a lot of attention does go to the seniors, and I love this project that it can be a walking trail for people of all ages, but also a playground for kids, which we need more stuff like that for kids. And I want to wish all of the Parks and Rec staff a very Merry Christmas, and thank you all for all of your work this year. Man, you guys have pulled you've walked through fire this year, as we all have, and I'm really proud of all of you. Thank you for everything. And share it with the other people who aren't here, because they all mean a lot to the citizens of our town.
We will. It's been challenging, no doubt.
Ms. Carroll?
I think this is a great opportunity for the other side of the interstate. We do have the Veterans Park and the Lake Forest Park on this side, so I think it's time to share the wealth and go over to the other side. And I think with the soccer field, I think that's a great opportunity because it would be a multi-purpose use field and would allow probably for some more football practice area, because I know the football teams are kind of squinched up together at Veterans Park, so maybe teams that are made up of citizens on the other side of town can use the soccer area for that. And once again, thank you all to the Parks and Rec. They're just awesome. They pulled a lot of stuff out of their hat for October. I mean, and everything went so smoothly. So thank you all very much, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Alderman No, if I can interrupt, please. Before you make your closing comments, would it be possible for somebody to make a favorable recommendation to move forward with this, and then have a count from the board to say yay or nay, just so we can have it on record, please?
Recommendation, we go
We were fighting over that one.
All right,
We had it on this side. Yeah.
forward.
we need a recommendation for this.
I will make a favorable recommendation to move forward on this project.
I need a second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So I guess that takes care of the
Yes, sir.
governmental part of it. I got chastised here a couple of weeks ago for
Really?
for calling this board and the senior board my boards.
Whoa.
So with that being said, that person I hope is watching.
I hope they are.
But you guys, all of you, I hope you're stuck with me for the next 4 years.
Well,
Next 8 years.
I would ask for a group hug, but no.
No, no group hugs.
But I just wanted to tell all of you how much I appreciate you for showing up and getting involved, because it's my understanding that in the years prior, 3 or 4 people would show up at these board meetings. And I'm glad to, I hope that maybe I've had a little bit to do with it to get people involved. Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Please be safe. David, I praise you at the Bowman meeting, so you know, I'm glad to see Andrew on board. Kathy's doing a phenomenal job, but there's a lot of things that she does behind the scenes that you guys don't know about that me and David does, and she's really, and she's kind of took me under her wing with some computer problems we won't talk about. But it has been a very, very trying year for everybody, but for Park and Recs putting things together. Hopefully next year with this new vaccine coming out, whether you're pro or con, hopefully by springtime or summer, this thing will be gone, and your all's job hopefully will be a lot easier. And I'm just going to ask one more question of David before we hang up the phone here. If anybody's listening at home, or if you guys want to spread the word, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, David, what's going on with the dog park?
I think the final plans were given to the engineer last week or the week before, so that's in his hands. Yes, sir.
All right. With that being said, I'll see you guys next year.
That's a long way.